So in addition to other things going wrong, now we have the problem of tanks. I'm gonna start that over again because I was looking at something else.
What you guys doing?
We're trying to figure out how to get our treatments down to 400 because apparently bubbling them all of a sudden doesn't work. We've been bubbling one of the tanks without octopuses now for how many days? 3 days?
I think we started Friday, yeah.
3 days is now Monday. We've been vigorously bubbling it for 3 days to try to bring the CO2 from like 650, 600 some odd. It's not up at 750 anymore at least, but like mid 600s PCO2 down to 400, and it's not coming down. And it's been a day and it hasn't budged. I have no idea what's going on in there.
Alright, let's do this.
So last episode we took all the octopuses out of the tanks so that hopefully bubbling these tanks without the octopuses in them will allow us to get the CO2 down, and that failed. So now we're trying something significantly more aggressive, something that is almost guaranteed to drop the CO2 in those tanks. We're going to drop a lot of acid in them. Essentially what we're going to do is we're going to put a ton of concentrated hydrochloric acid into this water. And a quirk about CO2 chemistry in seawater is that if you make the water very acidic or low pH, all the CO2 will come out of solution, it'll just come out of the water. And then what we can do is go back and add sodium hydroxide, a base, so drop base into it, enough to neutralize the hydrochloric acid, and then we're back to our starting point. We've added a little bit of sodium from the sodium hydroxide and a little bit of chloride from the hydrochloric acid, so it has raised the salinity, but the amount is negligible compared to the salinity of the seawater. We've also added a hydrogen from the hydrochloric acid and a hydroxide from the sodium hydroxide, but those two together are just water, so really all we've added is salt water.
So we just dropped in concentrated hydrochloric acid into
really
a tank.
That concentrated at all.
3 grams into 600 mils. Yeah, it's not. So anyways, we're going to now neutralize the water that we just acidified in order to make it, well, not acidified. Let's do it. So we were a little nervous that dumping that concentrated acid would mess with anything in here really. But looks good. Looks good.
Good.
All right, let's fill this bad boy up. So hypothetically, we should now have half a tank of water of about 0 carbon dioxide content. So we're gonna fill the tank up. So we're adding about 0 to about 750 to 800, hoping to achieve a PCO2 of 400 in the end. So let's do it.
So Monica measured the CO2 of the seawater after we added the acid and base, and we did bring it down to 0 CO2. And then we measured it again after we added the additional seawater, and it did bring it back up to about 400, so we hit our target. Now we're just going to let it bubble for a few days and see if it maintains that level of CO2.
Today I would like to get all of our treatments going, which means that getting CO2 addition to all these things working flawlessly is what I need. This isn't quite the case
out there where we're doing the atmospheric because it's still not working very well, but at least I should be able to get these ones working. This is the same thing I've been doing like all of last year, but it doesn't seem to be working super hot. I was having a problem that I couldn't turn on the solenoid valve here for the CO2 addition through my program. And what I found out is if you look in here, I actually had to end up opening up the internals of my CO2 control system, and I actually have a wire right here that got disconnected. So I was fishing around forever in the code of the program when it actually turns out it was a hardware issue. So I'm gonna try to put that back together and hopefully everything works, and we'll see. Fingers. Okay, I got that connected again, and now here, listen to this. That clicking is absolute music to my ears. I've been working on this for like an hour and a half, more than an hour and a half, trying to get this working, and finally, okay, I think it's good. So now in addition to other things going on, we have a tank going down. It's this one right behind me here, and you can see I kind of have the thing drained out and torn apart, and so we have everything kind of pulled out here. What happened was, this tank was getting abundantly warm, and so we pulled it apart to try to figure out what's going on. And now, the other problem with this is that these octopuses did not come from here. The octopuses I had in this tank came from Monterey Bay, which means that I do not want the water from these octopuses mixing with our seawater system and draining back out into the ocean. We don't want to have animals from not in this area living in this water and having that water go out into the bay, because we don't want to introduce new diseases, new parasites, anything like that. And so all of this water needs to be kept separate from the ocean, separate from our seawater system, and that makes it a little bit more of a pain when we go about fixing something like this, because we have to drain it out, carry it out by all these buckets down here, and then just dump it onto rocks away from the ocean. So right now we're getting another tank ready, and I'm sitting here talking to the camera instead of doing something. So I'm gonna start doing things.
So we're filling this tank